Hi friends, this is Bear and welcome to Aussie Bear Budgets. Now today I have something a little different for you. I am going to talk about ways in which we can save money. I'm all awkwardly set up here because I had set it up the other way because Miss Pippin was sitting in my chair. But when I got up out of the other chair to get stuff ready for this video, she stole the other chair. So just let me show you. There she is. Say hello. Say hi, people. Hi. So it doesn't matter what chair I'm sitting on. She wants wherever I'm sitting. So I am back in my usual spot, but things are a little bit skew-if, but that's okay. We will make this work. Now, what I am doing today is I am talking about ways in which we can save money. Now, again, as I have said in other videos, I have no rhyme or reason to how I'm going to do this. I am totally just going to wing it. And so I will be pausing you. I will be up and down getting stuff because I cannot, I can't plot it out first and work off a list of instructions. I'm like that with everything. As you know, I do a lot of crafting. I don't read instructions. I don't, because half the time they don't make sense to me at all because my brain's not put together that way. And other times I have read the instructions and the instructions have been wrong. And so I made myself what is known as a dolly bag once, and the instructions were wrong. And I was so frustrated by the instructions that I wanted to throw the whole thing out the window. Thankfully, I got it done, but I got it done by putting the instructions away and doing it myself. So I don't work well with instructions. I work better by doing it. So, and you're used to my higgledy-piggledy way of doing things by now. So let's get on with it. Now, as things are going all over the world right now, the cost of living is going up, up, up. Incomes are stagnating, not increasing, sometimes going down depending on your circumstances. So it is tough all over. It really is. It's getting harder and harder to make ends meet. And so I thought that I would share with you a couple of the ways in which I save money. Now, these may work for you. These may be things that you already do. These may be things that you think, oh my gosh, is she out of her mind? That's okay. That's okay, because we're all different. And so you may take some of these things on board. You may already do some of these things. Some of these things you may think, there is no way on God's green earth I am doing that. And that's okay. But I thought I would share with you some of the ways that I have saved money. And this is not just recent. This is over years. And it's been a work in progress. And it's not even been a conscious thing. It's not been, I sat down one day and decided I was going to save money everywhere I could. This has been, it's more than just about saving money. Some of what I do is about the environment and about the fact that I love and fully support repurposing, recycling, reusing. And so, and I am very staunchly aware of the fact that we live in a throwaway society where once it's empty, you throw it away. If it doesn't work anymore, you throw it away. If it doesn't suit you, you throw it away. I see that so often when I do volunteer work at our church's bargain centre. How many items of clothing come into that store as donations that still have their tags on. So they have never been worn. They were gifted to somebody or purchased by somebody who didn't like it, it didn't fit, so they donated it. And great, they donated it rather than throwing it out. But we are a throwaway society. And so a lot of the reason that I do things the way I do is because I don't like being part of a throwaway society. I would rather get more than one use out of things. A good case in point, up until recently, when the push worldwide was to stop the use of plastic bags in grocery stores, and it's annoying me, because up until they did that, I didn't have to buy plastic bags to put in my bins, in my kitchen bin, in my bathroom bin, in the bin that's in our toilet. I didn't have to buy those bags. I reused the shopping bags. Now, yes, they've gotten rid of the shopping bags, or they've replaced them with bags that are better for the environment, which I beg to differ, but that's a whole other story. But you still have to buy a plastic bag bin liner. So what's with that? But that's another story there. That's just a whole nother story. But yeah, we reused our shopping bags. And so like I'm big on reusing, not to the point where I'm shoving it down everybody else's throat, including my daughter, because my daughter, everything I'm about to share with you, my daughter does not share in. And that's her choice, and that is so okay. But we live together in the same household. I do my thing, she does her thing. That works for us. I don't push my beliefs or my way of doing things onto her, and she doesn't push hers onto me, and that's good. We've got a good balance here. Pardon me, I am still battling this cough and cold, but I'm still alive, praise God. Okay, so I am going to do, now I do have a little list of the things that I want to share with you beside me. So the list has 7 items on it. That may vary. So we'll see. But let's start with one of the first things that I encourage is buying secondhand. So rather than going out and purchasing clothing or household items at full price, which are often lesser quality, check out your secondhand stores. This, I don't know, I have shown you this before because this holds my markers. This container, I don't know what it was originally used for, I've no idea, but this was at our secondhand store for $1.50. And I needed a container to put my markers in because both of these sets of markers came in packaging that was very flimsy and was not going to last. And so I needed a container that would hold them better and keep them all together and that sort of stuff. And this is perfect. And I got this at my secondhand store for $1.50. So purchase secondhand. Now, every item that you see here, first of all, I never purchased any of them. They were all gifted to me because everybody I know knows that I love cats. So whenever a cat item comes into the secondhand store or somebody finds a cat item, they usually give it to me. So I have quite a few collection, like quite a large collection of cat items. These were given to me by a friend who was cleaning out a mutual friend's house after she died. And these were given to me as a Christmas gift. These two came from the bargain centre. So, but even things like that, trinkety little items, you might want something to put on your hall table. Go and check out your bargain centre first, your second-hand stores, your thrift stores. Check those out first. If you need a new article of clothing or you're just looking to spruce up your wardrobe a little bit, go and check out your thrift stores first. And I would go so far as to say that 90% of my clothing comes from our bargain centre, because every time I do volunteer work there, which is only one day a month, because I do the Saturdays that they're open, and they're only open one Saturday a month. And so every time I go and volunteer there, I do a little shop myself. And often, almost every time I'm there, I come home with an article or two of clothing. And sometimes these thrift stores can have extra sales. Everything is on sale anyway, but sometimes they can have an extra sale. Like the last time I was there at the end of April, they had a $6 a bag sale. So you got a shopping bag for $6 and as much clothing and shoes and handbags that you could fit into that bag, you could have for that $6. So both myself and my daughter got stuff. And we were in the mindset that if what we purchased or what we got for that $6 didn't fit, it would go back to the bargain centre. And so there are a couple of items that I've got in my spare room that are going to go back to the bargain centre that didn't fit my daughter or didn't fit me. And sometimes, like I said, you can get clothing at thrift stores that still has the tags on it. So they're brand new, there's nothing wrong with them. And you're saving sometimes, you know, tens, $20, $30. I would go so far as to save $100, because I've seen some items that come through and the original price on them might be $199, and our bargain sellers centre is selling it for $20. You know, if it's a high end brand, or even less. I mean, they very rarely sell any clothing for less than for more than $20, I should say. So yeah, thrift stores. So buy secondhand. Your household items like your utensils, your dinner sets, a new coffee mug, whatever. Check your thrift stores first, because wouldn't you rather pay $1 for a new coffee mug that has a pretty flower on it or a cat on it, than go and pay $5.99 in a store? And you know, you're saving $5, so why not do that? So that's the first one. Number one is, and I don't know how to put titles on videos, so I wish I could, but I can't. So number one is buy secondhand. Number two is use less than the package instructs. Now, this applies to things like cleaning products, to personal things like your shampoos, conditioner, body wash, hand wash. I'm sorry about coughing, but I cannot shake this cough. Pardon me. The current body wash that I'm using in the shower, it says 2 pumps each time you use it. Use 2 pumps. I use 1. I don't use 2. 1 pump still lathers me up like a snow cone. So 1 pump is enough. I'm not using 2. My washing detergent that I use in my washing machine, it says on the box, it says 1 scoop per wash. Well, have you seen the size of that scoop? It's monstrous. I use about 1/4 of a scoop because I have a tin that I tip the washing powder into, and it was a gift from my daughter, and the tin comes with its own scoop. The scoop that came with the tin is half the size of the scoop that is in the box. And so I use half of the scoop that's in the tin. So I'm using about 1/4 of what they instruct that you use. Imagine how many times you would have to rinse it to be able to get the soap residue out of your clothing. But businesses do this, like manufacturers do this on purpose. They want you to use more so that you have to buy more. So why not say on the box that it does 80 washes when in actual fact it probably would do 160 or 320 washes, because after 80 washes you have to go and buy a new box. It makes more money for them. So why would they, why wouldn't they double what you need to use? And so anything like that, so hand soap, 1 pump or half a pump, body wash, my shampoo, my conditioner, I use less than what it says on the packaging because the packaging is way too much. And in actual fact, when I do any baking, which I rarely do, but I even find with some recipes when I bake, say, I don't know, some jam drops or something like that, the recipe calls for half a cup of sugar. I'll put 1/4 of a cup of sugar in because I find all those homemade goods like that are too sweet anyway. So I will put half a cup of sugar. So where I can cut back, I will cut back. Not to the detriment of the recipe or to the detriment of getting my clothes clean, but a quarter of a scoop of washing powder still gets my clothes clean. I don't use fabric softener because the residue from fabric softener stays in the clothing and it gives it a funny feel, and I think it's bad for your skin. And so I don't use fabric softener. If you want to use a fabric softener, use white vinegar. I use white vinegar in place of fabric softener, and it does the same job, and it goes also toward cleaning your washing machine and making your washing machine smell fresh. So white vinegar instead of, and it's a darn sight cheaper. Oh my gosh. I can get a 2-litre bottle of white vinegar for about $1.95, $2 maybe, and a 750 ml fabric softener costs you nearly $10. So use white vinegar. White vinegar also works really well as a cleaner, as an all-purpose cleaner. So for cleaning your microwave, cleaning your sink, your fridge, your bench tops, white vinegar. Watered down, so I think it's like half and half. So half white vinegar, half water in a spray bottle, and that's an all-purpose cleaner. And it's better for you, better for the environment, and it's food safe because white vinegar can be consumed. So, you know, if it gets on, you know, I don't know, in your microwave, it's not going to hurt you because white vinegar is consumable. Now, just back to fabric softener for a minute. I have here a microfiber tea towel. This is for something else that I want to show you, but fabric softeners undermine the effectiveness of microfiber. I don't know, I was not aware of that. But I have since learnt that, but I've also experienced it when I was using fabric softener, that it undermines the effectiveness of microfiber. So microfiber becomes less absorbing if it's washed with fabric softener. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, we're 17 minutes in and I've only done 2. All right, number 3 is make it yourself if you can. Now, I understand I'm going to take my cardigan off because I'm overheating here. So give me a second. Where it's possible and where your abilities make it possible, make it yourself. So if you need a new pot holder, I've got an example here. If you need a new pot holder, make one yourself. This is just using scraps of fabric that I had. It's all done by hand. It has shrunk a little, which is why it's a bit bubbly, because this has been used to death. And the insert of this is polar fleece. No, actually the insert of this I think is an old towel. Yeah, I can feel it. It's got like an old towel, because I keep old towels. Pardon me. And so the insert of that is an old towel. I think it's got two or three layers of toweling in the middle. And this is a perfectly good pot holder. I just used, cross-stitching thread across here to do this little bit of quilting. It's all hand-stitched. I was bored one day, so I made a pot holder. All the pot holders that we have, with the exception of the glove pot holders, because I haven't made them, they're too fiddly. But every other square pot holder that we have is one that I have made, like that one. I made that. It's a bit wonky now. It wasn't as wonky when I made it. But I had been given a whole lot of these patchwork squares that were already cut out from a lady who was de-stashing her quilting stash. And so I just sewed them all together into 2 squares. It's a bit dirty, it's grubby because it's so old. I need to make another one. I need to replace them all actually, in actual fact. Pardon me. Yeah, and then this has got polar fleece inside it, 2 layers of polar fleece. So yeah, where you can, make it yourself. So I make all our pot holders and other things as well. Like I think I mentioned to you before, underneath our cat food bowls where the cats get fed in our kitchen, I have something similar to this, but it's about, oh gosh, it's huge. It's about the size of this table, because the cats are messy when they eat, and it just saves all of that stuff getting all over the floor. So, and they're just made out of scraps of fabric. It's just scraps. That's all it is. Like leftover from bigger projects. I'll just tell you a quick story about the polar fleece, because I've got so many items that I have made, like as big as quilts and as small as pot holders, that I have made that had polar fleece on the inside. And it's a bottle green polar fleece. And one day when I was doing some shopping online at Spotlight, I saw this polar fleece and it was on sale for a ridiculously cheap price. I think it was like 99 cents a metre. And I had just finished making a quilt topper, and so I needed something to insert. And this is another way I save money. Rather than buying wadding or batting to put on the inside of a quilt, I will look for a cheaper option like polar fleece, which is lightweight, still does the same job. It's still warm. It's actually warmer, I think. And so I will look for a cheaper option than buying the expensive option. Anyway, I found this polar fleece for about 99 cents a metre, and I thought, excellent, I'll get 1.5 metres of that to do the insert for this quilt that I was making. And I ordered it, and I didn't, because I was ordering other fabric as well, so I didn't really pay any attention to the price. When the order came, I had forgotten the decimal point. And so instead of ordering 1.5 metres, I had ordered 15 metres. This was years ago, and I still have polar fleece left. So it goes inside of everything, absolutely everything. I showed you a little purple pouch that I made in a previous video. That pouch has got polar fleece in it because polar fleece goes inside everything, because I've got so much of it. I've used about 2/3 of it now, but yeah, I ended up with 15 metres of polar fleece, trying to save money. So sometimes it can backfire. All right, so number 3 is make it when you can. Make it yourself. Okay, and I mean, you can make other things too, not just pot holders, of course. But yeah, where you can, make it yourself, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, in terms of food, the cost of food, I find, and when my son comes out is a good case in point. Normally I'm cooking for 2 of us, and when he comes out, I'm cooking for 3. What I will often do to then be able to send him home with a container of leftovers is I will make more than I need. And sometimes making more than you need of a particular recipe doesn't need to involve doubling it. It can just mean adding an extra cup of water, adding a couple of extra potatoes or an extra carrot, or putting cabbage in when you might not usually put cabbage in. Putting something extra to help bulk it up a bit. Maybe adding rice or adding pasta. So if you're making a casserole that normally feeds 2, why not add some extra vegetables or an extra cup of water, make it a little bit thinner, not quite as thick. Add some rice, add some pasta, a can of 4-bean mix or something like that, to stretch it that little bit further. So what would have normally fed 2 people, now you've got leftovers for another meal. My daughter and I often do that. We have a really large slow cooker, and we'll make a slow cooker meal, and sometimes we'll eat that 3 or 4 nights in a row. When she makes her soup, because she's gluten intolerant, so she uses all ingredients that don't have gluten. when she makes her soup does her every day for a week. So because she makes that size one, and that size one doesn't necessarily mean using twice as much of the expensive things like meat. It might just mean extra water, put in an extra cup of stock, put in, like I said, the extra water, and maybe add a stock cube to give that bit of extra flavour. Extra vegetables, a cup of frozen veggies. There are ways that you can stretch your meal to make it go further, to get an extra serving or two out of it without it costing you anything really. Maybe a potato or a carrot. My mum used to do that a lot. And when I was a young mum with 4 children on my own, like this is after I had divorced, raising 4 kids on my own, I used to sometimes, and these were desperate times, I used to sometimes water down the milk to make it last to the end of the fortnight until I got paid. And, you know, so there are ways around it. I mean, thankfully I don't have to water down the milk now, but there's nothing wrong with adding an extra cup of stock or an extra cup of water to your casserole to make it go a little bit further and get an extra serving out of it. So leftovers are great. Now, if you have a meal and you didn't eat all your potato, you did too much mashed potato, or that last slice of ham was too much for you, or you could only eat 1.5 sausages instead of 2. All those, instead of throwing out all those little bits, keep them, dice them all up, mix them with an egg, a bit of flour and some salt, fry them in the fry pan, and there's tomorrow's breakfast. You've got yourself a nice fritter, an omelette, just to add a couple of eggs. You know, there are ways to make leftovers into a full-fledged meal. Like, you don't have to, like what my mum used to do, and I do this too because I love it, is if there was mashed potato left over, or she used to mash potatoes and pumpkin together. So if there's that left over, she would spread it on toast the next morning, sprinkle a bit of cheese on it and grill it. And there was a grilled cheese and potato sandwich. And it was so nice because second day potato, I think, is better than the first day. That's just me. That's what I think. But I eat fritters a lot because I make the leftovers that we have into fritters. Yeah, so they're like, use your leftovers. That's number 4, is use your leftovers. Now, number 5, hold on. Pardon me. Number 5 is reuse, repurpose, recycle. Now, I have touched on this a little bit, but for instance, I think I'm going to sneeze. I've talked about reusing shopping bags to line your kitchen bin. I've talked about recycling towels, for instance, to do as the inserts in, you know, a pot holder or whatever. What I've also done with old towels that are no longer any good for a towel is I have cut off the bits, which is usually the 4 corners, which are still good and thick, into a face washer size and crocheted around it. Hold on, I'll go and get one. So this one here, that was a bath towel. And this one, that was a bath towel. And so I just cut it into a face washer size and crocheted around it. And there's a face washer. So that towel has been repurposed. Both those towels have been repurposed. You can do the same with hand towels. Of course, with a hand towel, they tend to get a bit grubby because even though you're drying your hands on them, there's still oil and stuff on your hands that gets onto the towel. And so, but I will use, like after a good clean, a good soak, even to the extent of boiling a hand towel. This is a trick that my mum taught me because she lived through the Depression, of boiling a hand towel just to make sure it's really, really clean and disinfected. It might still have the stain on it, but it doesn't smell or anything like that. It makes a good insert for a pot holder or something like that. So repurpose. Now, the other thing that you can do, you can repurpose boxes. like better quality bags. Even when you get some postage in the mail, and you get it in one of those sachets, those plastic sachets, rather than ripping that open to the point where it's not reusable, carefully slice open the top and then turn it inside out. And this is what one of my customers, when I used to work at the post office, used to do, is she would turn the old sachets inside out and reuse them to send it back. She'd get rid of her address and all of that sort of stuff, but she would reuse that bag. So that bag would at least get 2 uses instead of the one that it would normally get. I'm so sorry about the coughing, but I'm losing my voice, I think, which is going to make life interesting. Shoe boxes are great to reuse. If you want to pretty it up, cover it in fancy paper or contact, the adhesive contact, and reuse the box for storage or for something like that. So repurpose, reuse anything. You're only limited by your imagination. And I'm going to show you. I was going to show you something, but I haven't got it with me. I don't know where it is. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so reuse, repurpose, recycle. I can't remember what number we're up to. I think we're up to 6, 5, 6. I don't know. But anyway, so face washers out of old towels. Now, cloth. Now, I don't know how many of you, as big as the cash stuffing community is, the cloth usage, I don't know what the word is, community is just as big. And, so using cloth instead of paper. So instead of using paper towels, I use these. Now, these are a microfiber tea towel. I got a pack of 12 of these off Temu for a ridiculously low price. I can't even remember. I think it was under $5 for 12 of these tea towels. Now, they're not the best quality. So after so many washes, they do start to fray. But I got these for the purpose of using them as paper towels. So instead of pulling off a roll of paper towel to clean down my kitchen table, I will use these. Instead of using paper towel to clean down my appliances, I will use these. And like I said, I had 12. These two are fairly new, fairly unused. Some of them have already been thrown out because they have gone beyond being able to be used again. But I have been doing this for a couple of years. So for the cost of less than $5, I have used 12, like I think I'm down to maybe 5. I've got 5 left, these 2 plus another 3, which are, pardon me, coming to the end of their life. But that $5 has gone a lot further than $5 a week on paper towels. And so I am all for using cloth instead of paper for as many purposes as I can. For instance, where are they? Just let me sort through here. Handkerchiefs instead of tissues. Now, we do still have tissues in the house because, as I said, my daughter, she doesn't like using hankies, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I love using hankies. I love them. Some of these I made myself. So I made that one. I made this one because I had a lot of quilting fabric given to me. So I made that. How cute is that? And this one I bought because there's an Etsy store that sells them. So this is one that I purchased off an Etsy store. It actually came in a pack of 3. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. and work so well for blowing your nose on. I made this one as well. I love this. Look at that. How cool is that? So imagine whipping that out in the supermarket and blowing your nose on it. Love it. So I love handkerchiefs. Now, this is what got me thinking about this video. I was hanging out a load of washing this morning, and as I said, I have had this cold for probably a week and a half now. And just like I've had to do more washing than I normally would because I've also had a sick cat. And so, you know, she's been throwing up on, you know, table runners and what have you. So I've done more washing than I normally would. So I did a load of washing 3 days ago. 3 days ago I did a load of washing. I did another load of washing this morning. Keeping in mind there's only 2 of us. So that's how sick my cat's been, but she's getting better. It's all good. She's getting better. I think she's had a fur ball that she hasn't been able to shift. But I think she's definitely getting better. But hanging out the washing this morning, in amongst the washing from my head cold, I hung out 34 handkerchiefs because that's what this head cold has done to me. I'm sorry, this is gross, but I'm producing more mucus than any human should. But thank goodness for hankies, because imagine how many tissues I would have went through, because a tissue does not hold out. A tissue doesn't hold out as well as a handkerchief does. And I reckon that, and I know this because I've suffered hay fever, but I reckon for every 1 handkerchief I use, I would probably use about 5 or 6 tissues. So imagine how fast I would have been going through tissues in this week and a half with this head cold. But I've been using hankies instead. I love them, love them. So a lot of these hankies, this one I made, these ones here, I got off Wish before I discovered Temu. I'm sure you can get them on Temu. I got these off Wish. They came in like a packet of 20 for $3 or something like that. There's nothing wrong with them. They work just fine. I buy hankies from the secondhand store. This one came from from the secondhand store. This one was one that I think I bought at Best and Less or something in a packet. I love hankies, and I have so many because I made heaps myself. And I have been using hankies instead of tissues, and I can tell you the date because it marks the date I started using a lot of cloth. But I started using hankies on April 25th, 2017. That's how long I have been using handkerchiefs. That's also how long I have been using repurposing, you know, for this sort of thing. So when COVID happened, and everybody was getting their masks. How cute is that? You look good. You look cute in a mask. So everybody was getting their masks because we had to wear them all the time. So you had to have a stock of them. And I thought, oh, the cost of these is ridiculous, and they're a one-use thing. And so I made heaps. I made them. I experimented with the style to find a style that worked best for me, because I wear glasses, so I needed something that was going to go well with my glasses, you know, and not be a bother. And this is what I came up with. And these are just 2. Like, I made heaps of them. And, yeah. And so rather than have to purchase masks, of course I had some, but rather than have to purchase them on a weekly basis, I made them myself. I've got to go and grab one more thing that I forgot. Hold on a minute. Okay. Something else that, like, if you wear makeup, these are great. These are just 1 layer flannelette squares that are great to use for washing your face, because a face washer can be a little bit harsh on your face. These are soft, and they work well for removing makeup. I don't wear makeup. I used to, but I don't anymore. I'm too lazy. And but I still wash my face. I still cleanse my face. I keep that very simple. I don't do that. I don't know if you've seen like a lot of the YouTube videos. And I was this person. I promise you, I was this person. I have just learnt from my overindulgence and I have scaled it back. But you see some people do a 9-step cleansing program, or a 7-step morning routine. It's like, I don't have time. I don't have time to spend an hour in the bathroom just washing my face. But if that's your thing, more power to you, and I envy you, because you're obviously the type of person who can embrace that diligence and that motivation and that discipline. Not me. No, I'm embracing my lazy side. But I still wash my face. And so these are great for washing your face, for, if you put a cleanser on your face and for wiping that off, the excess off. These are great. I didn't make these. I don't have an overlocker. I actually bought these because there are so many Etsy shops that sell products that embrace the cloth instead of paper. Now, paper being things like the throwaway makeup wipes or the throwaway cleanser for your table or whatever. Anything that we throw away, they have come up in the cloth community with a cloth option. Some work for me, some don't. And it'll be the same for you. None of them may work for you, and that's okay as well. But so these are great. These also work well if you have a baby as a butt wipe. What do they call them? Baby wipes. That's the polite way. Oh my gosh, for a baby wipe. These work great. Now, this is where we're getting into a, what's the word? We're getting into a delicate area. Yes, we're getting into a delicate area, because the idea for some people of wiping your butt with a piece of cloth and then rewashing that just grosses them out. It grosses my daughter out. Like, the idea of that grosses my daughter out, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I come from the generation where we used cloth nappies, or diapers if you're American. We used cloth. We didn't use disposable. My 4 kids all had cloth nappies. At one point, because I had 3 of my children very close together, at one point I had 3 in nappies at the same time. Cloth. Can you imagine what my clothesline looked like every single day? Every single day. So what comes out of a baby's butt doesn't scare me, and it's washable. And if you can't do that, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But these are great for baby wipes as well. Now, having mentioned that, there is this. Pardon me. Now, people may be grossed out by this, and that's okay. I can handle it. I really can. But I stopped using toilet paper on April 25th, 2017, because it's bad for the environment. It's bad for your body, because it's not just paper. It's not. There are chemicals in it. And this is all just me. I promise you, this isn't just me. I am not trying to force this on anybody, but I use cloth for going to the bathroom. And these are old towels. Again, old towels repurposed. And I have been using these for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. All these are 8 years old, and that's how long they've lasted. Now, because I am a mature aged woman, I go to the bathroom a lot more often than a younger woman would, because we know, hey, I've had 4 children. My 3 boys were quite hefty when they were born. Like, one of my second son, he was nearly 11 pounds. I don't know what that is in today's measurements, but He was like birthing a watermelon. He was a big boy. So, you know, it took its toll on my body. So, I mean, I giggle and I've got to go to the toilet. I laugh, sneeze at the moment. You can imagine what it's like right now. I'm sneezing and coughing, and it's like cough, sneeze, got to go to the loo. Cough, sneeze, got to go to the loo. This is my life right now. So this has saved me a fortune in toilet paper. Now, having said that, my daughter, we have toilet paper in the house because my daughter will not use cloth, and I don't expect her to. This is my choice. I'm not foisting that on her. And, you know, of course, there may be a situation where you're not feeling well, you had a bad curry, and the results of that may resemble a Jackson Pollock painting. If you don't know who he is, look him up. You'll understand. If you know, you know. This ain't going to cut it. Okay? So there are times when toilet paper comes in handy, but for other times, this is what I use. Now, this may change people's opinion of me, and I am okay with that because I am who I am. I am me. This is me. And I am so okay with this. And I embrace it. And all of these I made myself. Scrap, like this is just scrap fabric that I sewed together. This is just recycled curtain. This is recycled curtain. This is old quilting fabric. I have a huge supply of my toilet paper, and I don't expect anyone else to use it. That's not an issue. And then further to that, and this is the last thing I want to share with you in terms of cloth. This video is going to be quite long. I hope you're in it for the long haul. Further to this, as I mentioned, I am a mature aged woman. I have birthed 4 children, and we all know what happens when you birth babies and every muscle in your body goes south or it weakens. And so I have these. Now the what's the word? The incontinence pads, liners is a big industry. This is a big industry. And I have what is known as stress incontinence. So that is when I sneeze, I pee a little, I dribble. Okay, this is real life, people, friends who love me. Remember, you love me. But when I sneeze, I dribble. All right? Now, I was using these and they work fine, but they're full of chemicals. And they're bad for the environment. And they don't do the job as well as these do. Now, all of these I made. I have, oh no, I didn't make this one, I tell a lie. This one was made by an Etsy seller called the Purple Panda. This is a whole community. The cloth pad, and some of you may even be there. This is a whole community. It's an industry. They're like you've probably seen the new period underwear or leak-proof underwear. This is a whole thing. Well, this is where it started. And I truly wish that I had found this when I was having my period. But that ship sailed a long time ago. That sailed and fell off the world. That ship is long gone. And I'm okay with that too. But this is my life now. And I do what I need to take care of myself. And that includes these. And to buy a packet of these, that's going to last me like, sometimes depending on if I've got a cold, I might be using 4 or 5 of these a day. Because I'm coughing and sneezing. And so a pack of these, they're not cheap. And this is something that you've got to use every single day, which I do, whether I need to or not, I do. This is a fortune. This is a fortune spent. This industry is milking women and men now, because it's a men issue as well, because they know they can. They know they can. This is a need, and it's like the whole gluten-free industry, because my daughter's gluten intolerant. The cost of her gluten-free stuff is just ridiculous, but they charge that much because they know it's something that people have to have, so they can charge through the nose for it. I hate that. I really hate that, and that's a whole other soapbox I won't get on. But yes, this is my life now. So this is just scrapbooking. No, this is quilting fabric. And inside is sometimes polar fleece, sometimes another absorbent layer, and it also has a layer of what is called PUL, polyurethane laminate, which basically is a waterproof fabric, like waterproof, as in no water gets through it. You often see that type of fabric in handbag liners to help with waterproofing. They use it a lot on cloth nappies and cloth diapers for babies, because that's a big industry as well now, because people are sick of paying the cost for disposable. They're sick of filling our landfills with disposable stuff that does not break down properly, and it's full of chemicals. And so people are moving toward cloth. Now, I have so many of these. I have more than I need, but I made myself so many. I am well covered until the day I die. And I bought this little pouch off Wish before I discovered Temu. And I do have disposables. They're left over from like before I started these. But I do, once in a while, I may use one if I need to. But I carry these with me all the time as well, because you can make little, I'll go and get one to show you. Wait a minute. So it's like a little pouch. So this fabric here, that's your polyurethane laminate. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's your waterproofing. And so this little pouch just has a pad in it. So I know that if it's folded this way, because this is the part that goes towards your body, if it's folded this way, it's clean. If it's been used, I fold it that way, and then I know it's got to go into the wash. So this one is clean, of course, and this one was just in my handbag. So I always carry one or two with me everywhere I go. And in terms of storing them and cleaning them, I just soak them in water with disinfectant in it until I'm ready to do a load of washing, and then they go through the wash. And the same with these. So I have a bucket out there in my laundry that is just always full of water with disinfectant, and that's where they go until they're ready to go through a load of wash. So that is my cloth venture. And like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years, and I do not regret a moment of it. I wish I had known about this earlier. All right, now finally, the last thing, because oh my gosh, we're on 53 minutes already. This will be my longest video. The last thing is, the last way to save money is to borrow. I was going to say beg, borrow, steal, but we don't want to steal. No stealing, okay? But beg, borrow, barter. Let's do that. I mean, begging, okay, you know, be humble. But if you need something that you're only really going to use once or twice, then don't go out and buy it. Like if you need, like for instance, I have a hedge growing up the side of my house. I don't have a hedge trimmer. And at the moment, the hedge is fine because it's still getting established. But when the time comes, I'm not going to go out and buy a hedger. I will borrow a hedger and do it that way. My neighbours are great like that anyway, so he'd probably come over and hedge it for me. But, you know, borrow where you can rather than buy it. And barter. My community, my town, has a Facebook page which is a barter group. And so no money exchanges hands. That's one of the rules. No money exchanges hands. You get on there and you say, I need somebody. Okay, let's use this as an example. I need somebody who can do a load of ironing for me, and in return, I will give you some fruit and veggies from my garden. So, and I would be like, okay, I can do your ironing for you. I would love some fruit and veggies. And so you have a barter system. It's a great community on Facebook that's been set up by one of my friends. I haven't actually used it myself because I haven't had need to. But like some people will get up there and they will say, I have too many eggs. My chickens are laying really well. I have too many eggs. Who would like 2 dozen eggs and what would you offer in return? You know, so somebody might get on there and say, I would love 2 dozen eggs. My son will come around and mow your lawn. Things like that, you know, so you work out a barter system. And so that's another way to earn or to get what you need without actually having to spend money. And borrowing, when you borrow something from somebody, I just stress to you, take better care of it than you would of your own thing. So whatever you're borrowing, you take better care of it than you would your own. That has always been my policy. I told my children that if you borrow something off a friend from school, you take better care of it than you would your own. And if you live by that, then people are going to be happy to lend you stuff that you need. So, like, for instance, I happened to mention to one of the men at church that my washing machine hose, the outlet hose, had sprung a leak. Like, it was a fountain in my laundry. He was able to come and fix it, but he had mentioned to one of his other friends, another friend of mine from church, and they got on the phone with me straight away and said, if you need washing done, come around and you can do it in our machine. So things like that. You know, ask a friend to help. Like, I could have called a plumber to come and fix my washing machine, or an electrician or whatever, but I asked one of my church friends first. I offered to pay him, but he would not take any money. But, you know, there are people are willing to help. They really are. So do that as your first option, but also be prepared to help in return. Like, be prepared to use your own gifts and strengths to help somebody else. The man who drops off eggs, he's an older gentleman, and he drops eggs off to me and just leaves them in a flower pot on my front veranda. I give him any egg cartons that I have. I save them all for him. But I said to him once, I said, you know, I'm getting the better end of this deal. I'm getting eggs and all you're getting is the cartons. And he said, just ring me once in a while and have a chat. So I do. He's an older man. He's in his late 80s. And so occasionally I will ring him and we'll have a chat and a laugh and a yarn. And he's happy with that. That he said that is better payment than money or anything else. It's just for someone to ring him and have a chat. And so that's what I do. And so there are so many ways that you can save money. Just think outside the box. And some of the ways that I have shown you here may not work for you, and I fully understand that. I fully understand if this is not your thing, or if this is not your thing, because it's not for everybody. People do get grossed out by it. But I'm from the generation where we put our kids in cloth nappies. So I've been dealing with poop all my life. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Thank you for putting up with my coughing, and I'm losing my voice. I have made other arrangements for Bible study until I get my voice back and stop coughing and everything. But thank you for spending this time with me. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and hit the notification bell. And stay tuned for my next video. And in the meantime, take care. God bless, and I love you. Bye-bye.